families and networks have natural ends. I didn't have that, and many people don't have that, but you can still get there without that by making those connections, networking, forming relationships, genuine relationships. Outsourcing every single non-core function that I could think of. Surrounding yourself with experts in their fields to help you do your job better was really and is really key to building out.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Success in South Florida podcast. I'm your host, Adam Rossen, and on today's episode, live and in studio, we have Marc Hurwitz. Marc, I've known Marc for a few years now, and I'm not big on me giving the introductions, as everybody knows, but just want to tell a little bit about Marc, and then we'll let you kind of take it away. You know, he's an amazing private investigator, an entrepreneur as well. I know him from being in EO, the Entrepreneurs Organization. He's in a lot of different areas and different, groups that I'm in, and we cross paths all the time. Sometimes he could be hiding in the bushes, listening to what's going on, while I'm at a meeting, right? You never know where he is or where he's going to show up. But Marc, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Adam. Really, really appreciate this.
Absolutely. So as you know from, us talking before and just about our podcast, it's really all about you, your journey, how you got here, all the big, cool, interesting things that you've done and will continue to go. So give us your superhero origin story.
Sure. I love sharing how I got where I got because I think it's a good story for young college students trying to get into their industry. When I was in college, I did an internship program. It's at SUNY Buffalo for undergrad, University of Buffalo. And they took 2 political science students from each SUNY school and sent them to DC for a semester of internship. And I got accepted into that program, and I went into the State Department, the Human Rights Bureau. And it was a wonderful semester, and I met people there that led to an internship at the White House, the National Security Council. And I spent a summer there before going to graduate school at George Washington University. And after that, my boss's boss, the Deputy National Security Advisor, hired me, and I stayed on for 3 years in the West Wing. He was the point man for intelligence. And near the end of that administration, I switched over to CIA, and I started as an analyst. My first day was 9/11/2000. There were 37 counterterrorism analysts at that time. Now there's thousands. My first challenge there was the USS Cole, which was a month after I started in 2000. And then, of course, 9/11 happened. And that led to me eventually crossing over to the dark side, to the field side. And I worked overseas for multiple years with CIA. And I left in 2008 and started my own company, Crossroads Investigations. And so I think for people who are starting out, especially if you don't have contacts or a big network, internships is really, really vital to making connections, to networking, to getting that experience. And I know you have many interns here, and I commend you for that. Yeah. I really do commend you for that, giving people an opportunity like
right.
that.
Yeah, and as we're filming this in June of 2025, we have our summer internship program going on full swing. We have 12 amazing interns. It's one of the highlights of the things that we do at the firm. I absolutely love it. I'm the one in charge of promotion, recruitment. We book club different books. I'm in charge of getting speakers to talk to our interns. So I love that. And then our lawyers are with them on the day-to-day basis, the ins and outs of the law. And I always say, and not just the ins and outs of the law, it's the ins and the outs of being a criminal defense attorney day in, day out through everything that we do. And I always say the one word that I can really use that I think best encapsulates what we do at the internship program is immersive. Our interns are fully immersed in the day to day. And, I think it's amazing. We've had interns in one capacity or another for 15 years, but we've really had this program for about the last 5 years. And it's something. And luckily, look, we've grown the business side enough where we can then bring on 12 interns and do these really cool things. I couldn't do this 10 years ago when it was me and one legal assistant. We would take on one intern because that was our capacity. And that internship was just come hang out. It wasn't a formal thing. So now that the business has grown, we can then have really cool programs and initiatives and other things. So of course, you and I are in different business groups and things, but that's something that's been very important to me. But Marc, I want to go back a little bit. So when you're at SUNY Buffalo before this internship, did you know what you wanted to do? Did you know that you wanted to get into like intelligence, in government, or were you just another, 20-something-year-old kid saying, I don't know, internship in DC sounds kind of cool?
No, I had an affinity always for foreign policy. So I was always geared toward that. That's why I was a political science major. Although I did think I was going to be a lawyer for quite a while.
Okay.
I've always enjoyed international relations. I was pretty focused on that from an early age.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really cool. And so talk to us about the experience of how you went ahead and got the internship, because for some people it's easy. There's a connection here or there. Other people really have to hustle and have no connections, or just you see a job posting or an internship posting on the board, or maybe there's an academic advisor that encourages you or lets you know. So how did that go? And especially because the thing about this is 25 years ago, the internet was around, or more than 25 years ago, the internet was around, but it's not what it is now. So the opportunities were fewer and far between to be able to find them.
Yeah, it's a good question. I had a very nice relationship with one of my professors, Professor Welch, and he was one who really encouraged me to apply for the internship program. And once I got in, that was just the beginning, because then you have to apply to different agencies and departments within the U.S. government. And that was just hustle and persistence.
Okay.
Yeah.
So hustle and persistence, is that something that you had learned maybe from your parents, from coaches, from sports growing up? Did you think you always had it in you, or did you just have to push out of your comfort zone to just go ahead and develop it on?
Wow, yeah, another good question. You're very good at this. No, my parents have always been hardworking, amazing people, really motivated me and inspired me. Second generation immigrants. And I just learned from them to work hard, and it pays off if you doing it the right way. And it's so many people take shortcuts. Especially here in South Florida, we're surrounded by people who come from families and networks that have natural ends. And I didn't have that, and many people don't have that. But you can still get there without that by making those connections, networking, forming relationships, genuine relationships.
Right. And one thing that I'm always looking at when somebody wants to work at Rossen Law Firm, or somebody wants to be one of our interns, I'm always looking for that hustle, that persistence, that, somebody who's unafraid to put themselves out there, because I'm with you 100% on that. And that's something, I've had, especially as a kid looking back, I think I've always had that innate drive. But there's been a few pivotal points in my life where it was just, take the chance. What's the worst thing that can happen? They say no. I think so many people are just afraid of quote unquote failure. And, having somebody say no to you is not a failure. It's just a learning experience, and you just keep trying. I mean, in a way, it's kind of like dating. You got to date. You got to ask that hot girl out on a date. Ask 100 girls out on dates, right? One or two is bound to say yes. You can't have that fear, especially that fear of rejection or failure. So that's something that I know I've learned. It's been kind of a tenet of my entire life. But it seems like from you that was a big part as well.
Yeah, and I think you would agree that it crosses over to being an entrepreneur. I don't come from a business background, and you have to, when you're building a business, you have to take those leaps of faith sometimes. And if it doesn't work out, then you go back and try something else.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. And so I definitely want to talk about that. The last thing we'll say, we're not going to get into the details of you at the State Department and all the other different things with the CIA and everything, I know, but just one question. Does TV portray, how much does TV get it right? 50%, 70, 80%? What do you think?
Yeah, I get asked this a lot. People ask me, is Homeland?
I was going to say Homeland.
Yeah, accurate. No, being a CIA officer means 99% of your time you're doing paperwork. Really. So Homeland does not encapsulate what the life of an overseas CIA officer is like. But I will say that there's a show called The Americans with Kerry Russell. It's on FX. There's multiple seasons. best series ending ever, by the way. But I think they really had someone on staff. They really got the tradecraft down quite well, the street tradecraft.
Okay. Well, and of course, whether it's a medical show like Grey's Anatomy, whether it's a legal show, they have to dramatize it even more and more. So people always ask me, they go, well, is what you do, is that like Law and Order? And I say, well, some parts, yes, but definitely not sitting there in court on a Thursday calendar call day where you're there for 3-4 hours, just, working on 10 cases in front of the judge, and you're waiting for 30 minutes for the judge to call your name to speak to the judge for 2 minutes. Right? They kind of speed up and cut those parts out to make it really, dramatic.
Yeah.
But I mean, some parts, yes, there always is a little bit, right? Definitely a little bit. But the stuff that we do is fun, and I'm sure there was definitely parts of your job that were fun.
Oh, very fulfilling and very fun. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so 2008. Okay. What happened in 2008? Well, you started your business. I actually started Rossen Law Firm, and we had a major economic crash.
Yeah.
Right. So what was that like for you about leaving the safety and security of the government? We have pensions, we have safety and security, right? To go out and be that entrepreneur.
Yeah, you're right. It was an extremely scary time. I remember just setting up all the paperwork for the business, watching the stock market crash on TV. It was a lot of bootstrapping. I mean, I always tell people I've made hundreds, thousands of mistakes. I had to learn the hard way many times how to build a business. I spent morning, noon, and night networking for over a decade. Building relationships, building out my network. It was just a lot of hustle. And as you know, when you're an entrepreneur, you have 2 jobs. One is to do your job, be a lawyer, but also be a rainmaker and build a business. And that is really hard as a solopreneur when you're starting out.
Right. It's, I don't know, did you ever read the E-Myth?
Yes.
The book, right.
Yeah.
And that's something I read in about maybe 2015 or so. So about 7-8 years into running the firm. But that definitely changed my mind, because you're right. There's, and for those of you, I mean, anybody who's watching this, if you want to be a business owner, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you must read the E-Myth Revisited from Michael Gerber. But it really talks about the difference between being the amazing technician versus the business owner. So that's exactly what you're talking about, because most people start a business because, hey, I'm good. I'm a good lawyer. So you know what? I should start my own law firm. Well, those skills are completely different, owning a business versus actually being good at the production unit. So how did you end up just navigating that and learning that, besides just hustle, right? Because we know hustle, from everybody that I've seen and listened to and followed says, look, you can just straight hustle your way to $500,000, maybe $1 million in gross revenue. But that you're really still, you don't own a business. I mean, you do technically, but you are the business and you are the employee of the business. And then beyond that, it's all about using your brain to scale and create systems and policies and procedures and have other people do really good work for you. So talk to us about that process.
I think a couple of things that I always tell new business owners, the 2 things you have to do is set up a CRM, which is Contact Relationship Manager, at the very first day, and set up your accounting software, your QuickBooks, from the very first day. So I think a lot of it was leveraging technology. And then also outsourcing every single non-core function that I could think of. And I'll give you a great example. When I first started out and I was networking and lawyers started calling me, I was using my cell phone number. And when I was at networking meetings, which was morning, noon, and night, they would leave me a voicemail. And I was like, oh, it's so unprofessional for someone to call me and go to voicemail. So I hired a reception company. And that solved the problem overnight. The caller knew that someone answered the phone. They took a message. I'm going to get back to them. It's appeared, I was giving a professional appearance. So I think that was very important. The accountant, CPA, the business lawyer, the IT person, the Google person, surrounding yourself with experts in their fields to help you do your job better. But outsourcing was really and is really key to building out.
So that's something that I've learned over the years. Completely agree with you. But 2008 to even maybe 2016 version of me is looking at this and saying bookkeeping, right? I mean, yeah, I had QuickBooks, but I can't hire a bookkeeper. That's $300-400 a month. $400 a month is $5,000 for the year. $500 a month is $6,000 for the year. I need that $5-6 grand in my own pocket. This is all about hustle, and we're bootstrapping a very lean firm or business here. And it took me to maybe 2020 to get a bookkeeper. I was the bookkeeper for maybe the first 13 years of the firm, and looking back, I'm just like, wow. Those were some big mistakes and wasted times. But how was it that you were able to identify that as a major leverage point early on where I was not?
Yeah, an important thing for me in our day-to-day, even today at work, is being able to sleep well at night. And I didn't want to have to worry about having sloppy books, screwing up taxes, drawing government scrutiny when it's unneeded. So that was, yes, it was an added cost early on. I agree with you. It was a tough pill to swallow, as were many extra costs, but necessary.
Right. And to me, that shows that you had more entrepreneurial maturity way before I did. So that's fantastic. Because, well, what that did, again, you're less stressed. You're not probably like me, cramming to get caught up on nights and weekends. You could then go out to more networking functions. You can focus more on rainmaking and different things and really identifying the highest and best use of your time. And I think that's something that, now I've learned, and I think we do a very good job of it here at the firm. But understanding when you're, the primary rainmaker, the business owner, what are the $10 an hour tasks? What are the $50 an hour tasks? What are the $100 an hour, and $1,000 and $10,000 an hour tasks? And I'm 2 years late to reading this book, but I'm reading it now, Buy Back Your Time from Dan Martell. And it's an amazing book. Came out about 2 years ago. And really there's a few different themes, but one of the themes is just the power of getting a really good executive assistant, who can manage your emails and your calendars, among other things, and figuring out what your buyback rate is to offload a lot of those tasks so you're not running around all crazy, and and you can laser focus on what you as the business owner, entrepreneur needs to do to grow the company.
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. Having someone to help you is critical as you're growing your business. And I have a great story about that.
Go for it. I want to hear it.
Because we, in EO, an entrepreneurs organization, we talk often about people and having the right people in the right seats on the bus, part of the entrepreneur operating system, EOS. And I had a client relations manager down here in South Florida. She did a lot of the networking. One day she came to me and said, I have to quit. My husband is moving up to North Florida. I'm pregnant, and unfortunately, I just can't be here for you anymore in South Florida. But she is an amazing person. She's a loyal and hardworking employee, and I just did not want to let her go. So she became my assistant, remotely.
Okay.
And I think that's part of, when you identify good talent, you don't let them go.
Right. And so that's brilliant, because you're sitting there going, okay, well, she's thinking, well, I can't do the primary role that I've done for X number of years, so therefore I must quit. And you're like, but you're amazing. Let's put you into a new role. Let's be creative and get a win-win for everybody. So is she still with you now?
She is. She's really more or less the firm administrator. I mean, she knows everything about everything, and I don't make a move without her. She manages everything. It's wonderful.
Oh, that's great. And
Yeah.
I bet she's very grateful and still having success and being a part of the team, and now, and even in a way, elevating to be your trusted right hand. So,
Sure.
so yeah, I mean, those are the things that we learn through whether it's EOS or Entrepreneurs Organization or anything like that, about identifying the culture fits and the right people. And just because a life situation for somebody changes doesn't mean it has to be a parting of ways.
Absolutely.
Especially in today's day and age with technology.
Absolutely.
The Success in South Florida podcast is brought to you by the team at Rossen Law Firm. If you need DUI or criminal defense representation, call the Rossen Law Firm at 754-206-6200 or check the description of today's episode for more contact information. The Rossen Law Firm, helping good people when bad things happen so they can achieve their best futures.
So, you start the business 2008, you're hustling morning, noon, and night. You're starting to at least get some leverage points and hire some, or, whether it's key people on the team or just offload some key portions of more of, the business that the business owner should not be doing. Talk to us kind of just about the next evolution for you as business owner, and how did it lead you to EO?
Sure. I think one of the big hurdles to cross was hiring my first employee, which didn't happen in 2015, I think.
So 7 years in.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that started changing things, because that allowed me to start offloading some of that networking, client relations job, slowly but surely, and also helping me manage all the caseload and casework. So hiring employees, a whole nother level, and a whole there's so many things that come along with that.
Right.
And I made, of course, again, many mistakes.
Well, first, let's talk about the mindset around hiring somebody. Were you scared?
Yeah, absolutely. I was scared I wouldn't be able to afford it. I was scared it was going to take up my time managing. I was scared to let things go, to delegate. It took a huge mind shift.
And so how did you move past that?
The need for sanity. I mean, at some point you get to a tipping point where you cannot do it yourself anymore. You just cannot.
Right. And so I'll tell you about me. It's from 2008 until about 2015, I didn't have any employees either. So very, very, very similar. From 08 to 15, I had a partner, and it was just the two of us. So each of us did everything, but we grew enough to not come crawling back to the prosecutor's office, despite our friends who had bets about how long it would take until we came back, because they all said we weren't going to make it. But we didn't grow enough to hire an employee, or we just didn't feel confident enough to hire that employee so then we can go out and make more. But we ended up splitting in 2015, and then we ended up both just organically growing a little bit. And by the end of 2015, we both needed to hire somebody. So we ended up sharing an employee. So it was great because we stayed really good friends, and we were still sharing office space. But I still remember, before I hired my first legal assistant, I was scheduling all the depositions myself, and I'm the one typing out and e-filing all of the paperwork, every single piece of paperwork for every single case, sometimes at 8, 9 o'clock at night, because I couldn't get it done during the day. So I'm sitting there and I'm just getting to a point where I'm like, this is insanity, absolute insanity. So and of course, cost benefit analysis, and I was a immature entrepreneur at that time. But went ahead and did it. And I'm getting all my time back, and I'm able to be more efficient, close cases out faster, which means, especially on my end, flat fee work, we're able to get better results in a faster amount of time. It means we're more profitable. And then fast forward a little bit to we're growing a little bit. Fast forward to about 2018, and I hired my first attorney. And I remember the attorney came aboard. I had just bought a new house, a house that I could barely afford, but everybody said, go for it, because you're just only going to make more money. And I'm like, well, that sounds great, so I'll go for it, right? So I do that. And he starts, and within I think it was the third day, I wake up at 3 a.m. sweating, like, oh my God, how am I
know
going to
that
pay
feeling.
for this? Oh my God. Right. And, what I didn't realize then was that, look, when you hire somebody, don't look at it as a yearly expense. It's every 2 weeks, right? Or it can be every month. Really, it's in a way, it's more of like a 90-day tryout in a way. But what happened was just by it's not luck. I do believe in the law of attraction and just manifestation and energy. And that night we got hired on the biggest case we've ever been hired on up until that point, which is funny because now those type of cases come in on a weekly basis for us. But, and it was paid in full. And I go, oh, I have all this money now to pay the employee, to pay my first lawyer. Amazing. Great. Right. And that year we pretty much, I believe we doubled in revenue, just because I was freed up to make more connections, make more. We were able to get cases out faster. And so almost every time we've hired, I can't say every single time now because, we're a little more complex now, but almost every time we've hired somebody, especially when we've hired the right person, the firm has elevated to another level, has made more money, has become more profitable. And it's one of those amazing things that's how you grow, is by having great people on your team. But it takes a while if you don't have the business background, like I don't as well, to really figure that out.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of my story with that. And so as you're going through, what led you to EO?
Right. So, I did a program called Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business. Have you heard of it?
I have, but I've never done it.
It's a wonderful program. It's all around the country. There's a program in Miami-Dade, housed at Miami-Dade Community College, Miami-Dade College. But it's the curriculum is from Babson College, which is the biggest entrepreneurial university in America. It's in Boston. And this is a program that is underwritten by Goldman Sachs, 100%. And I did this program. It was maybe 3, 4, 5 months, full days every Fridays and also Wednesday nights. And we were a cohort and learned a lot in that program, how to build a business. And somehow at some point, someone mentioned Entrepreneurs Organization during that period. And that's when I started looking into it, and I stumbled upon EO. And I think EO is a wonderful organization because, and I read a lot of business books as well. And I'm sure you've read this. You want to surround yourself with people you want to aspire to be like.
Right.
And I have many wonderful, loyal, amazing friends, but not all of them are business owners. And I was really attracted to the idea of being surrounded by business owners.
Right. Because being the owner can sometimes be very lonely.
Yes.
Right. There's certain things that you just, I think by nature of the relationship, you can't talk to your employees about. You might want to, but it just might not hit home in the same way, just because of the nature of the relationship. So you need other people who are going through similar things, who maybe view the world or their businesses similarly to you, to be able to complain, just be frustrated about, celebrate, cry with sometimes, right? So yeah.
I agree with you, and that's what one of the benefits that EO brings is being around those people, just being around them, and learning from people who are much more successful.
Yes.
We both graduated through the accelerator program, and so I'm still the little guy, in EO compared to many of the members. But I love being around them, learning with them, socializing with them, helping them with their problems. When that happens, when you're a business owner, eventually you need an investigator sooner or later for something. Right. So I think EO is really enhanced my life in many ways.
Yeah, and I love that EO. It's not only business focused too. It's really focused on you, your family, and your business, those main parts. And I love the origin story for EO, which we don't need to get into here, but I think just that as an organization, it's so much more than business. And for me, I've been in lawyer marketing groups, lawyer business groups for now 10 years, but about 3 years ago. I started EOS about 4.5 years ago, and my EOS implementer, Caesar, who you know, is just absolutely amazing. And maybe 6 months in, he said, Adam, you got to join EO. I've never heard of it. What is it? And he said, well, we'll talk about it soon enough. And I went home and started looking research, and I was like, this is amazing, because I can talk to other lawyers who are going through their journeys like me, who maybe are a little further along, have bigger firms, and that has been tremendous. But I always thought there was something missing. I wanted to be around real entrepreneurs that are outside of the law as well. Maybe people who have built a multi 8-figure business and then exited. People that built a very successful business and then it failed and lost it and rebuilt it, or built another business, because lawyers tend to be very conservative. So I wanted to be around real entrepreneurs, risk takers, and just, learn from them and evolve myself and grow. So that was one major thing that attracted me to EO, because I'm in all those other groups, industry specific, but I wanted to get outside and really expand my horizon. So EO has been amazing for me for the last 3-4 years.
And I give you huge credit. It's a huge testament that you're an EO, because they are not, they don't always take attorneys, because they view attorneys not as entrepreneurs. So the fact that they saw that in you it speaks volumes about you and what you're doing.
I had to fight for it, because as you know, our South Florida chapter is one of the largest in the world. And I think they don't want lawyers, CPAs, doctors who are very successful and could be very successful business owners. And part of my interview process was, explain to us why you're an entrepreneur, not a business owner, or more than a business owner. And luckily I did, and luckily they deemed me to be worthy. And I'm absolutely loving it. It's a major part. Yeah, it's been great, and just the relationships and the events. I mean, I don't think. Wait, did I see you there? What is it? A few weeks ago, we had Jesse Itzler come.
I missed it, but I heard it was, someone told me it was the best speaker they've ever seen in their life.
It was fantastic. He brought his own DJ, and just to have somebody on that level of entrepreneurship, multiple exits, all the cool stuff, and him in his own right, more than just being Sarah Blakely's husband, right? Hearing his story and his speeches, it was amazing. It was fantastic. And again, when you bring your own DJ,
that's amazing.
It's got to be great, right? Yeah. So I was so happy to hear him speak, and just there's so much learning that goes on. So it's great. So now, Mark, how did you as far as continuing to grow the business, and how did the pandemic change your business at all? And how have you really been just growing and evolving maybe the last 7 years?
It's a really good question. We have always been remote from day one. Never had an office, partly because no lawyer has ever asked me to come see me.
Right.
And most of our clients are attorneys. So we were already set up for the pandemic, being remote, leveraging technology, using video calls, using the CRM, using cloud-based software. And
so you knew about Zoom before everybody else.
I'm trying to think what we were using. If we were using maybe Skype before, yeah. But using the cloud-based storage system and the CRM and the reception company really set us up for the pandemic quite well, and being remote. During COVID, we were very lucky, and I wonder if you feel the same. People still sued each other, maybe even more so, because they were more desperate for money. We did not see a slowdown. And I am sure people were still getting arrested.
Right. So for us, the end of March and April and May were pretty tough, because the police weren't doing proactive policing. They stopped their investigative work. They really shut that down. People weren't going out. And when people don't go out, they don't really get into trouble as much. But Florida opened very quickly. And by June, we were pretty much back to where we were at. By August, we were growing. And by November, we had 6 people at that time. We had 2 lawyers, 3 staff, 3 admins, and 1 full-time marketing director. And by November, we're like, we need to hire another lawyer. Oh my God, like, we're having the best months we've ever had.
Yeah.
And in 2021, we went from 6 lawyers. We started the year with 6 employees, and we ended the year with 13. And then in 2022, we started with 13 and we ended with 20. So, I mean, we just had massive growth. But a lot of people in my industry had a post-COVID bump in 21 and 22, but we tripled and quadrupled the firm and really blew it up into what it is today. But also that's because a lot of the decisions that we made, when the court shut down, a lot of people just put their head in the sand, and we said, we're going to get to work, we're going to market, we're going to hustle, we're going to network like crazy. We're just going to do everything that we, in a perfect world, we would want to do, but for the actual work and the job and going to court and all these other things. Well, now it's a golden, once in a lifetime opportunity. And as entrepreneurs, we make a lot of mistakes, but I will always say that is one of the greatest successes I think that I've ever had, is just not just staying the course, but doubling and tripling down and seeing this as a major opportunity. That was big for us.
I love that. I love that a lot. I will say that I give CLEs a lot, which is continuing legal education courses for attorneys. And I was going all over town before COVID giving the CLEs, and that had to stop.
Right.
So we pivoted, and I gave the CLEs on Zoom. We had set up our own courses. We did it through the bar associations. I did it on my own. We advertised in our newsletter, and then we ran out of stuff. We ran out of CLEs. So I started doing liquor tastings online. Classes. So I did a former CIA officer's guide to James Bond martinis.
Very nice.
And people loved it. I talked about what are the different martinis that James Bond drank in the movies and the books, and why they're called what they're called, and how to make them. And I would make them and craft them in front of the Zoom camera. And then we did whiskey, the former CIA officer's guide to the secret love affair between James Bond and whiskey, because he actually drank whiskey and bourbon, and so we talked about that. And I just try to find different ways to engage with our clients and friends through COVID.
Right. There was so much ingenuity that happened during COVID, just by forcing, people are forced to stay home or get disrupted from their normal routine, and us as social people that need to do things, human beings as a whole. I mean, people, it was so amazing, all the creativity that was sparked during it. It was great. I mean, us too, we're just like, we'll try anything to have fun and just to see what sticks and what our audience likes and doesn't like, and screw it, go for it, right? What's the worst that can happen? So we did that. Now, you said you work a lot with lawyers. Yeah. So is it business lawyers, family lawyers, criminal, all three? Like, what's your biggest niche?
Yeah. Our biggest niche is insurance defense.
Okay.
So if someone says they get hurt, the insurance defense attorneys will hire us to follow someone to see if they're really hurt. So we do that for some of the biggest companies in America: Walmart, Publix, Winn-Dixie, Uber, Lyft, Skechers, Starbucks. The list goes on and on and on and on. So insurance defense is our bread and butter. We do a lot of family law work because we do asset searches, bank account searches. We do infidelity surveillance, but other attorneys as well. Criminal attorneys, of course, to do interviews sometimes, to collect video evidence. But immigration attorneys may hire us because they'll have a client who said they got arrested 10 years ago and they don't know where, and can we go find the record? Or a probate attorney to find next of kin. Business attorney to check out a potential investor or partner, or they're in litigation and they want to check out witnesses. All types of attorneys who need to find people to serve. So really every attorney can use a private investigator at some point in their journey.
Yeah. So it seems to run the full gamut. Yeah. You got the financials, you got the in the field work. That's really cool. Very cool. Do you have one story that is maybe just, either the funniest or surprising or, just best story that you have from work.
Oh man, and every day is a story.
And I know where the bodies are buried. Right?
Yeah, I do. I know a lot of secrets in this town. There's a story. It's a crazy situation. We had a client out of state. Him and his wife owned a condo in South Beach, and he said, her dinner bill on the credit card seems to be pretty high for one person. Can you just see who she's having dinner with? So we go and we follow her. Sure enough, she's having dinner with someone. She's in her 50s. He's much younger. And they follow him and they follow them both. And they stop off at a 7-Eleven. We don't know what they buy, but they keep going and they end up at a swingers club.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So my investigator says, well, should I go in? Because it's a membership fee for $175 for a single male. I said, yes, go in, but don't take any pictures. And so he observed them. And turns out it was the couple's dog walker that she flew in from out of state.
Oh, okay. I was going to say pool boy, but I guess
pretty close.
Pool boy, dog walker. Now, did your investigator end up going back for other times? Was he like, hey, I'll do more surveillance. I got this yearly membership now. Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, but you see it,
Yeah. And the insurance defense, we see everything. Once it gets to us, there's already an algorithm in place that's highlighted the case as possible fraud. So we have a really high hit rate. Watching people who claim injuries, bowling, landscaping, painting, heavy lifting, going to the gym. I mean, we see it day in and day out, like just egregious fraud.
Right. And it's South Florida. So, yes.
Hey, I speak all the time, and I always start off by saying Florida is a sunny place for shady people.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Sunny. Let's say that again.
It's a sunny place for shady people.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
South Florida in particular, but all of Florida.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Mark, we're about time here. What advice would you have for anybody listening to this who either wants to get into your field or just wants to level themselves up in business or in life?
Sure. Well, in my field, the private investigation industry is heavily licensed state by state. In Florida, you need to have multiple years of experience. Otherwise, you have to intern full-time for 2 years, take an exam, get fingerprinted. It's an arduous process, but connecting with the state association is really critical to making those connections, to learning, to being guided through that process. So that's in general, in my industry, that's the advice that I would give.
Okay.
And then what was the other?
Just any general business life, or business advice, anything just to level you up personally, professionally.
I joined. Were you in BNI?
So I've never in BNI. I guessed it a few times. It was the commitment I just couldn't do when I was in corporate every day.
Right, huge commitment. I did BNI for many years, like almost a decade, and that I think really helped me create a network of supporters and cheerleaders and referral providers, and encouraged me to learn how to speak in front of groups of people, encouraged me to network with other groups. So joining a BNI was critical. Having that CRM early on was critical. And again, outsourcing non-core functions, all of that. I love talking about building a business, always available to anybody who wants to talk about it. It's my favorite topic of conversation.
Right. So, Mark, and with that said, what's the best way for anybody to reach you?
Sure. Our email is info, is short for information, at xinvestigations.com, info@xinvestigations.com, or 866-976-2371. You can just find us on our website, xinvestigations.com, and reach us through there. And we're easy to find, easy to contact. And part of our culture is white glove service and ultra fast responsiveness.
Oh, I love it. Because in today's day and age, your competitors are not necessarily the other private investigator services. It's the culture of Amazon and, just of getting it now and getting great, reliable, consistent service quickly. That's who I think most of our competitors are, not the lawyer down the street per se, or the investigator, next door. right? We're always competing with just the world around us. So awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been so enlightful, so enlightening. I'm sure everybody's going to love it. So anytime I can talk to you, Mark,
I appreciate
thank you so
it.
much.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
All right.